Hello. Good evening. Hi, thank you for joining. Thank you, Mom. Glad to have you. Yeah, our guest is here already. Thank you so much, Mom. Please let me know if you can hear me. Can you hear me? Thank you for joining me. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. Thank you for joining me. Okay, thank you so much. Yes, who is online? Let me forward some message. Okay, let me bring you in. Um, um, okay. Hi, Mom.
Hi, good
Hi. Good
evening.
evening. Glad to have you here.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I apologize, I cannot get to destination before the
Oh,
live time, so
oh,
we just have to make do with the
oh,
car. Yes,
that's fine. Thank you
I'm
so
still
much.
in transit. Yes,
Wow,
that's
wow.
fine.
Thank you so much for the honor of being here. Thank you. Thank you.
It's a
It's
pleasure.
good to have
It's a
you
pleasure.
here.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I sincerely appreciate. Thank you. That's fine. Whoa, thank you so much for the honor. I sincerely appreciate it. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah.
But can you hear me
Very
properly?
well.
Am I audible?
Very well.
Okay.
Very well. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yay. Let me send this too. Okay. How you doing, Mom?
I'm doing well. It's been a great day. And you?
Very well. Fine. You're doing great. Yeah. Oh, waiting for our parents. Maybe we should
No
just
problem.
uh maybe we should just start the conversation. So since
Yeah, we
the
can
it's gonna
start the
be
conversation. You can always catch a replay.
replay.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, yes, this is another parenting o'clock. We have parenting o'clock every Thursday by 8 p.m. West African time, then 2 p.m. Eastern time for now, because the time changes. So, and it's a forum we discuss parenting and everything about parenting and everything around parenting just to be of support to parents in raising awesome children and being an advantage to our children. Because at times we love our children, obviously we love them, but there's a tiny difference, just a little things we do that while we think we are loving them, we are doing them a disservice. So that's why we need to pay attention to our journey and give it our best. So it's good to learn. Even the Bible made us to know that without knowledge, his children will perish. So there's a need for knowledge. So in trying to give our best to this journey, we need to seek knowledge. And when I thought of different topics to pick for the year, I just sort of this early years education because it's key, the bedrock, the thank you for joining,
Absolutely.
ma'am. Thank
The
you.
foundation.
Yes, the early years education is key, just like the foundation of whatever you want to achieve on your journey. At the early years, your children will tend to love learning, just like reading. I struggled with reading at some point, even when I grew up, because I wasn't taught how to read. I was so, it's something I love to do, but at times I see myself picking up today, but just had to, because I knew where I was going, I just had to be disciplined with it. So it's not easy. And because we know it now as parents, one of the advantages we want to be for our children is to start early with them, which is what I've enjoyed doing. And I can see a lot of difference. So I won't want to make the same mistake. It's just the reason why you want to be an
Mm-hmm.
advantage is to do to them what you've seen that it's good and you weren't taught. So, and that was why I brought up this topic: early years education and stimulation. There are a lot of things we can do as parents. At times we see ourselves trying to force a child as early as 2. I did that with my first child. You must write. And when the child is not cooperating, you might decide to use some other means just to force the child to write, because he just must write. He just must fit in. But I realized that there are better ways and great ways to help these children stimulate a lot in them. So I'm so glad and excited to have you here. Thank you. So I'll be giving you some minutes to share with us. What does you introduce yourself, then you go into early years education. Do we help our children? How do we set this learning, this education in motion for them to be a great advantage for them? So over to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for the platform and the opportunity to get to speak with you on this on your Instagram live.
Thank you.
So my name is Anu Akiola.
Okay, yeah.
I am an early childhood specialist. What does that mean? I work with young children and the people that work with I work with children and the people that work with children.
Okay.
So yes, my area of expertise, like I said, is in the early childhood, and I've been working with it for at least over 2 decades now. So it's been a long journey. Ironically, I didn't start my journey as an early childhood specialist. I started my journey as as a zoologist. So then I would just laugh and say, I started working with animals. Now I'm working with children. So that's so I'm the founder and of Extra Kids Childcare Centers. It's an early childhood center in Lagos.
Okay.
And we have multiple centers. So we have a center in Surulere, and we have an office center as well. We also do mobile services, so it's like an event daycare. And I do a couple of other things, consulting as well as setting up, helping other people set up their crèches, daycares, and just consulting in the space of early years, with training for teachers, etc. Everything I do really is working with young children. Let me just put it in that.
Well, thank you for joining me.
Of course,
she said she's on the road, so I'm sure we might be having some ETs there and there. And thank you for joining. Okay, she's back. Okay.
Okay, so I was saying that the early years space is my area. So the topic for today is something I'm really very passionate about. And don't worry, if you get to a point, I'll make sure the car is stationary so that but where I am, we just need to
leave. That's fine.
It's not too safe. So when we get to a place that's a bit sane, then we'll park, and the network will be better.
Oh, that's fine.
So I was saying that the early years stage is a very, very important stage, and I always tell people that before you even consider having children, as they are having your marriage counseling, I encourage that churches or area places, of worship begin to consider parenting before having parenting courses before they even get married, before they start thinking of children. Because if they have an idea of how important this foundation is, a lot of people will not make it big. You understand?
Yes.
And I always laugh that when people say, "Oh, I want to have 5 children. I want my quiver to be full." It's not about the finance. Yes, it takes a lot of intentionality. Are you sure you'll be able to actually do that? So, but a lot of people lack awareness of this stage, and because of that, they just assume a lot of things. And assumption is the lowest level of, knowledge. you know. So, but a lot of people assume, at least I turned out okay the way my parents brought me up. But we all know that those same people didn't turn out well. We see the flaws, we see
Yeah.
the gaps. It's very obvious to people. For them, they might not see, but we see that you didn't turn out well like you thought. You might think that you turned out well, but it's because you do not have an awareness of what you could have
I've
been.
done.
So you feel that, yeah, you were okay. So the
Yeah.
foundation is very important. I like to always say that nobody, my pastor says something that nobody recovers from a good start.
Hmm. That's key. No one
Building.
recovers from a good
And
start.
it depends on the, yes, no one recovers from a good start. If you're going to start a building, the foundation is going to determine how high you go. So the depth of the foundation, you know, is a determiner how well the foundation is.
Wow. The session is hot already. No one, I love that quote. No one recovers from a
And
good
all that.
start.
So it's very
And that is
important
one
that
of what we
you are
want for our
aware
children.
of that.
It's season already. Yeah, do well to tag a friend, tell someone,
The
tag a group
foundation
to
is
join us
very
on this.
important, and yes, and that foundation is something that I'm going to really I hope that people can take more seriously, because the first 5 years determine. So you can imagine that the first 5 years of a child's life is going to determine the rest of their
Oh,
lives. So you must really be so careful as to how you lay that foundation, because you know that it is what determines the rest of their life. And when I mean the rest of their life, it means even cognitive, emotionally, and health-wise.
yes.
Health-wise, let me digress a bit to even say, because I don't even think that the first
Wow.
1,000
Network is
days
cooperating.
determines the rest of that child's health. Yes. Am I breaking? Can you hear me?
Yes, it's better now. Yes.
Okay. So the first 1,000 days determine the rest, the health of that child. So when we talk about the first 1,000 days, that's like the first 2 years of a child's life, the health. I'll still get there. So I'm just saying that the foundation is very, very important. My husband is a civil engineer, and every time maybe we're going somewhere, he sees a building, he now says, "Oh, this building, they have to bring it down." I say, can't they patch it? Can't they? You say, no. This one is not a matter of patch. That is a
It's a
foundational
foundation.
issue. It just has to be brought down. Otherwise, it will eventually come down.
Wow.
So you see, the foundation is really important. If it's not laid properly, there's trauma at the foundation stage. The child's life can be destroyed. In fact, I always say that if parents are aware that there's some things that can happen to children when they are young, that today linked to life-threatening
Network.
diseases,
Okay.
you know,
It was seized at some point, but it's still seized.
if there are issues, at that early stage, it can impact the rest of their lives. And those things, those traumas, they're called ACEs, adverse childhood experiences. Those issues have been linked to cancers, life-threatening diseases, depression. So the foundation is very important. Whatever happens, you can even reflect on your life. Sometimes you feel, oh, I feel disadvantaged. Oh, I have this kind of low self-esteem. If you trace it back, you will see that most of those traumas, most of those
Hi.
are
Thank you for
foundational issues,
joining.
and they cannot be they're foundational issues. Just a minute.
Okay. Thank you for joining. Thank you everyone for joining. Yeah,
Yes.
we're talking
So
about early years
yes.
education and how to be of great advantage to our children. Starting early, what I have found working, and sincerely, if there is anything you want to do, the first 5 years of a child's life is key. It's key.
It's key.
It's key.
It's
Like I
absolutely
always say,
key.
we have
Absolutely key.
struggles because we were not prepared for this journey.
Mm,
We
mm.
just like a child will at times we get angry because our child is throwing tantrums, or a child is it's just
Mm.
because the child is growing. You can't, even if you have a child that is
Yes,
always saying yes,
I'll still,
always cooperating, a
I'll still
constant.
talk about that.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for
Mm.
joining. If you have a child that's always saying yes, mommy, that doesn't tell you no, there is a concern. It's not that the
Mm.
child is obedient. There is a
Definitely,
concern.
definitely.
So children, they will grow. They would want to explore things. They will want to try things out. So you are the one that will get yourself prepared for it. That these children, they will throw tantrums because they're not happy with something. As adults, we get hungry. We have things we're not happy with,
Yes.
but we are grown. We can communicate ourselves, or we can just try to calm ourselves down. But they can't. They are trying to learn from us. Then that is when, as parents, we get angry and yell at them, beat them, which is not right.
Mm.
So please, over to you, man. Thank you so much.
Okay, so yeah, thank you. So I was saying that the foundation is very important, and that you must, if something is important, then you must be interested to know exactly.
Hmm.
So the first thing I would advise you as parents is that you must get knowledge of what is happening at that age.
Hmm.
At that stage of your child's life, you must be knowledgeable about it, because one of the greatest advantage you bring to the table as a parent is your knowledge.
Hmm.
I'm telling you, people die for lack of knowledge, for lack of vision.
Yes.
So if you do not understand what is happening at that stage, you are not able to contribute positively, one,
Hmm.
contributing negatively, or your ignorance can be contributing negatively to your child. So knowledge of early years, like I was saying, during that premarital stage, people should have the knowledge of early childhood.
Sure.
That early years, they must have that,
Hmm.
that they can take decisions that are meaningful. They can take decisions that will help their children, when they begin to have them. So, because there's a lot that is going on at that stage that you don't want to.
Yeah.
90% of the child's brain is formed at that
At
stage.
that stage. Yes.
When 90% of the brain is formed, what is left? It means that most of the work has been
Mm-hmm.
done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's like you are building, it's like they call it brain architecture. When you are going to have a building, you are going to go to an architect. You say, help me design this house. You're going to say, oh, I want a house that has like 5 bedroom, that has a terrace, that has on the ground. You design everything, and then the architect will give you that floor design and everything, so that you can build. So what is happening at early years is just similar to that. The experiences, what the children are going through, the food they are eating, the people they are relating with, is helping you draw that adequate floor space.
Whoa.
So some people, they've limited the children to no experience, not enough
Going.
nutrition, no meaningful connections. So those children are maybe 1 bedroom flats. So you've already drawn a design for 1 bedroom flat.
Whoa.
Then later you're not comparing that 1 bedroom flat to say, how come this other person has a three floor duplex, 3 floor. Do you
Whoa.
understand? So you have drawn the space based on the limitations you have put on your child. And when you now get the drawing from the architect, then you take it to the engineers, the building people, and those people now build based on the architectural drawing, right? Exactly.
Wow.
So when your child is born, the brain begins to develop, and the major work is done between 0 to 5 or 6 years of age. Three things. I'll categorize three important things that will help your child's brain to develop, because once the brain is developed, every other
That
thing it's going to be a
sure.
struggle. It's going to be a
Can tell.
struggle.
Yes.
So 3 key things are very important. I'll start with the first. The first thing is nutrition. Good nutrition is important when the children are 0 to 5. So you must be very conscious of what your child is eating. It must have the right nutrients, the food that gives brain power. Do you understand? The right proteins, enough carbs, everything must be in the right proportion. Food is very important. Once the brain is developed, during that brain development, they are sensitive, sensitive periods. That is the time
Whoa.
when something is forming, is an opportunity for you to contribute that can make that situation better for that child. For example, a sensitive period, I'll still get there, is period of language development. So if you expose that child to reading, to meaningful discussion, to a lot of play, to dramatic play, to role play, to singing, to rhymes, you have exposed that child to that sensitive period is being harnessed, and that child can do well. So that's why a child can learn as much as 5 languages between 0 to 5 and not mix it up, because the sensitive period for language development. That's why they will say don't do baby talk. Talk to them, read to them. They are storing that knowledge, and they will, it's helping their brain develop. Also, there is that stage of critical development, meaning that during that time, that's the only window period for that thing to happen. If you miss that window period, you've missed it. There is nothing. Even medical science cannot help you. Like maybe when the child is in the womb, the spinal cord is developing. If they miss it, that's why the doctors will give you folic acid, because you cannot miss that critical moment. If it is missed, there is nothing they can do. The child just lives with it. If that woman is lacking a vitamin and there's a deficiency, it could just be permanent. So during that age, there's periods of critical and periods of sensitive development. That sensitive development, that critical, a lot of times the doctors have taken note of that gap. They will support you, they will advise you. But you see that sensitive period, because people don't know that it exists. They just feel, well, okay, Sarah, whatever will happen. You don't know that those opportunities are there for you to step in, support your child, so that child can maximize that period to the best. So we have a lot of sensitive periods like reasoning, creativity, independence, all those. Yes, all at that stage, there are a lot of sensitive periods there. So if you want your child to that stage of between 4 to 6 is a window period of numeracy sensitivity. 0 to 3 is a window period of literacy sensitivity. So you want your child to speak your local dialect. That's the 0 to 3 is the time to latch in on that opportunity. Yes. So if you move away from that time, it's not that you will not be able to teach that language, but because that window period is closed, it's going to be more difficult.
Yes.
But because it's a window period, it's an opportunity for you to be able to do it well. So I've said that nutrition is very important for brain development. 2, meaningful connections, very important for brain development at the earliest. So what do I mean by meaningful connections? Every child needs a parent, a guardian, whether primary or secondary caregiver, to love them, to show that they love them. Because during that time, one of the key things that is happening, that is building, is their emotions. A lot of times, we are so concerned by physical growth. We think that is all that is happening. My child can crawl, then my child can walk. But you don't know that the ability to be able to connect with people, recognize social cues, respond to stimuli, all those are equally as important as the physical growth. And they are happening simultaneously. So if you are not responding as a parent to all that is happening to your child at that time, you are shortchanging your child. So that meaningful connection during that time is that, oh, I cry, there's somebody there to comfort me. Not that I'm crying, they'll say, better cry very well. Oh, if you do not cry, we will not take you from the hospital. Because as that child is crying, it's like a call and respond. That child is testing, can I trust you? Am I safe with you? That child is building secure attachment. You see, that secure attachment is the key for social development, emotional stability. Some people cannot trust today because they did not have the opportunity of secure attachment. There was nobody, maybe they are crying. There's nobody to say, Pele, my dear, sorry. There is nobody that they can say loves me. Most likely it's usually a mother or a father, but it could also be just a nanny. So there is no attachment between mother and father. Then the nanny, they change nanny like washing hand water. They can change nanny every 2 weeks. So that child is not able to form any bond. So secure attachment is the ability of a child to be able to form a bond with somebody that they love, which is very important for brain development. Very important. So that child is forming that emotional connection, which is responsible for emotional stability. Do you understand? If you don't have emotional stability, people can fall into depression easily. They can, hurt themselves. So you see that's the foundation actually for emotional health.
Wow.
When a child begins to form secure attachment has started from between 0 to 3. The child will be able to recognize that you smile at them. Do you understand? They respond to your smile. So if you smile to a child and that child responds to you, it shows that that child is forming secure attachment. Is able to form. That child is growing well, because one of the key milestones at that stage is secure attachment. So you begin to see, by the time the child is maybe between 6 and 8 months, that child begins to exhibit stranger anxiety. I don't want my mommy to leave me.
Yeah,
it's healthy growth. It's healthy growth. All that is what is forming that emotional stability. So we don't know that it's part of their growth and it's important. And you must support that stage of their life. But if you don't know that this thing that my child is doing is normal, I must support it. You will say, keep my baby in the bouncer. Don't spoil my baby. Leave them. Don't touch them. And your child needs that touch, needs that closeness. You cannot spoil a baby. Some people say, spoil my baby, don't back my baby. Your child needs the warmth, the care.
Knowledge is key.
Spoil a baby. You cannot. There's nothing like that. So you must be able to show affection for that child's emotional stability to be on the go. So that's the second thing. So meaningful connections, they must have people, father and mother, caregivers that they love. The third very important thing is the environment, quality environment. So what environment is this child growing? Is that child in an environment that he can play, he can explore? Do you understand? He can make mistakes. Those three things. So play, meaningful meaningful relationships, and nutrition are the key things when you're talking about brain development. And of course, brain development is what is your life. Your brain, without a brain, you can't function. So your physical growth, your emotional growth, your intellect, everything is from the brain development. So you can imagine that the fact that you don't have somebody to love you, your child did not form secure attachment, maybe because you yourself, you lack trust, you are traumatized, maybe you are separated from the dad, you have passed on that trauma to that child. Earlier on, I talked about adverse childhood experiences. They call it ACEs. And research has shown that many life-threatening diseases like cancers, depression, what do you call it? Addiction, that they are linked to ACEs. So maybe a child has had presents with cancer. So they've linked ACEs to cancer, life-threatening diseases. You can imagine. So a child is born, has a father and mother, and they're always fighting. And then 40 years down the line, there's cancer. You're wondering, what does daddy and mommy fighting have to do with cancers? Because that has triggered stress in that child. They call it, so anything can trigger trauma. It could be neglect. It could be, seeing abuse. Maybe they are in a house that somebody is addicted, or there's always stress. Any kind of abuse. It could be social, verbal abuse. You are shouting on the child. You are hitting, physical abuse. It could be sexual. All of those kind of things can lead to ACEs. And ACEs, of course, can be ACEs can be truncated. It doesn't mean that it must always end in cancers or lead to all this. It can be truncated if there is an involvement of an intentional adult to help that child through that traumatic stage. Then that child can step out of ACEs. But many times people just think, oh, it's part of life, and they allow it to go, and it festers, and down the line that child, now begins to see the impact of the traumas that they were exposed to when they're young. The early years is the stage that you must protect children. You must protect them. You must protect them from every form of abuse. They must have enough nurturing. They must have enough love. They must be allowed to play, because all this is helping stimulation, making sure that they are growing properly. So it's not about the cost of the toy. It's not about mechanical toys or toys that are singing. It's as much as allowing children to be outdoors, allowing children to play with water, play with sand, climb trees, do things, dangerous things carefully, like my coach would say. Allow them to explore in the kitchen, allow them to just have fun and be children. They will make mistakes, they will learn through it. No pressures, understanding that there are milestones, that the things they do has to be age appropriate. Understanding their milestones and be able to check it. To be able to say at 4 months, not that you are comparing your child with another child, but to say that, oh, at this month, my child is expected to do this. Why is he not doing this? What should I need to do? Can I support my child? Or do I need to see a doctor? So understanding that milestone, everything I've said is based on you having that knowledge of what to do. If you don't do anything for yourself before you get pregnant, or if you have just had a child, or you already have children, go back. What stage is my child in the early years? At 4 years, what should my child be doing? How can I support my child's developmental growth? Your knowledge is the most important thing you are bringing to your parenting journey to support your children. I can talk from now till eternity on early years. It's such a critical time. It's very important. Pay attention to it. Support your children. When they start going to school, be very, very, very conscious of the kind of schools that you pick, because like I said, the early years go very fast. So the early years is not the time that you are focusing on writing 1 to 1,000. For a child that cannot even help himself use the bathroom, wash his hands, does not know his magic words, cannot relate, cannot communicate, and all you're focusing on is writing 1 to 1,000. The thing about brain development is that the part of the brain that is used, that part will grow, it will be strengthened. So if you're not using the creative side of that child, you're not helping that child to be dependent. That child is going to grow to become an adult that is going to struggle with
some basic things. Yes. And that was what I always say. If a child is being yelled at constantly, it throws tantrums, you're throwing tantrums as parents, is that part of the child that will grow. At times we want to curb a particular habit of a child. Maybe we want to stop the child from throwing tantrums, and we keep adding to it. So instead of the tantrums going down,
and connect.
Okay, welcome.
People, improve their social skills. All that is really, really important when your children are growing. They are very, very important. So I said, as they're going to school, don't be in a hurry that, oh, my child should be able to write, should be able to do this. Focus on those basic skills, especially self-help skills, because those skills are what they're going to use in life. Go and ask. It's not really about the first class. What about a first class that cannot present? A first class that is shy. So some people say, oh, I was born shy. No, you were raised shy. You were raised shy. So if you don't know that what you don't know can be harming your children, at the end of the day, they will be saying, my parent didn't try, because really you didn't try. So I would just encourage you that you need knowledge of the early years to be able to support your children as they grow. And then when they go to school, you've now given that school, you have now become a partner with that school. So you're not going to relinquish all the work. Oh, is the school that is going to now teach them everything. You are the first teacher. You are working in hand. You've known your child to be able to say, oh, this is the kind of my child. This is my child's learning style. Because you've been there by observation, by presence during that child's early stage. There's so
So
much
much.
that we can talk about the early years. But let me just stop, and give you time to also ask questions and the likes. Yeah.
Whoa, thank you so much. Thank you. God bless you for this. I wish our parents could just be out, and at times I will have to say this because when you have, maybe it's if this was supposed to be a prayer session, like you have, it's going to be prayers for children, or you want to cast out demons. I'm sure we have of parents in here. But when it comes to knowledge, like what you need to do as parents, it's beyond prayers. When I remember when I started my journey,
Yeah.
as little as a child crying, I get irritated. It's not my like I'm not. But God, thank God I realized this early enough. I would have done a lot of damage, and that is what we're doing out there. It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry.
And they will call it discipline. Why are you shouting? Why are you crying?
Yeah, like you get angry because your child is crying. We have it out there, and because I stayed, of course, So that's what led me to like just opening up these platforms for parents to. There's need for knowledge on this journey, and whatever we do, like what you said, whatever you pay attention to is what grows. You think your child
Yes,
will shut the child up? We are only reinforcing that part of the child as early as
exactly.
whatever you pay attention to, whatever you keep hammering on. You think I'm trying to stop them? I will shout at them from throwing tantrums or from fighting each other. You're only reinforcing that part, and that's what will keep growing, and that's what them keep throwing tantrums the more. It's not going to solve anything. So please, parents, like what we said today, the first 5 years of a child is very, very critical, and that is what we want to pay attention to. I know there was had this parenting o'clock that you can't love a child too much. You can't. There's a saying that says,
You
"Oh,
can't.
you were gonna spoil
You
a
can't
child."
spoil a child.
You don't spoil a child when you don't. It's when you don't know how to discipline them, or when you're allowing them to get away
Exactly.
with it, or with some things they are doing. But when you tend to love a child, you can't love a child too much. So parents, you will be loving your child, and you see some people saying you want to spoil the child. Please don't focus on what they are saying. Parents with knowledge that you have, focus on your journey and love your child. That particular stage, 5, a lot is formed, and like she said, 90% of the brain is formed already. So what is left? So that is what we want to pay attention to as parents. One of the ways we want to be a great advantage to your children is to focus on your journey at this early stage and give it to your best, like your best. I can tell you, when my first child, I just want him to cooperate by all means. Like, you just must obey. he was he then he became I realized that as early as 2 he was kind of fearful. So but on, I wanted to try that too. He was fighting back. I would see him fighting his brother. I knew I needed help. So I stepped out to learn, and I will tell you, it's been amazing. So it's
Yeah.
just trying to fight myself or trying to get them to cooperate. By all means, there is more to raise awesome children, not just
Oh, there is more. There is more.
obey. You don't.
And you see, the thing is,
Okay.
and the thing is that when you start that journey, you're going to have to
A
learn
lot.
a lot. You're going to have to unlearn
Yes,
a
Lord.
lot, and very humble. Because we have been taught, we have learned a lot of wrong things, and we think, oh, that's how to
At
parent.
home.
But sincerely, when you are really humble, you have open your heart, you realize. I give you an example. One day, somebody asked me that she has a challenge with her son, that her son is 2, but he's so opinionated that immediately in everything, that even if when he wants to eat his meal, he will insist that he must eat his meat first. Then that she has been trying, that she's doing so much. She's doing so much to help that child to eat
Food.
to eat his food
It's
before the
breaking.
meat. And I was so wondering. I asked the mom, is it that he does not eat his food? She said he eats his food, but her concern is that why must you
He
eat
eats
your
the meat
meat
first.
first? That is a very bad habit. I said a 2-year-old. But you know that's our own upbringing. That
You
is
finish the food first. Oh Lord, yeah. There's a lot to unlearn. A lot as parents.
So they taught us that that's delayed gratification. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So that you must eat your meat last. So I asked her, is it your meat? She said no. I said, so what's your problem? Does he eat his food? She said yes. I said, so anyone can come first. And I now gave her other ideas. She felt so relieved. She said she never thought of it that way, that she was just too much concerned of the normal protocol of how things have be done.
Mm.
So there is a lot of benefits to opening your mind to learning and unlearning and relearning. I also remember there was one instance, my son wanted to buy, we were preparing for back to school, so we needed to buy a bag.
Okay.
And I had a specific budget. So my son he had his own idea. I'd asked him what's the color of the bag he wanted. He described the bag. So I said, okay. But I had my own budget. So when I got to the shop, his specification was way above my
Wow.
budget. So I kept calling home to say, oh, this is the bag that they have. Is this color? This suits our budget. Do you want it? He will say no. So we're going back and forth. There were other women in the shop also doing back to school shopping. They started talking. They were not talking to me, but they were talking about me. That see how parents of these days, see how they spoil their children. See her. Why is she calling this child? Eh? Is he going to pay?
Of course.
Eh?
So,
Is it the parent? I did as if they were not talking to me. Eventually, I ended the call. I told the lady with us at home to bring my child to the supermarket so that he come and make his choice. So my son was around 4 at that time. So when he came, I explained to him that, remember, this is our budget. We have 6,000 naira for this bag. Please, when making your choice, ask the price that it fits our budget before you can decide to pick that bag. So these women were still looking at the film the drama we were playing out. So my son was he picked the bag, he will ask, they'll say, oh, this bag is 12,000. He will do mental math at 4. He will do that mental math and say, oh, I don't have enough money, I need this amount. These women, after a while, they say, madam, what school is your child going? I like this boy, oh. Madam, you are tried, oh. You are doing a good job, oh. I was just laughing, because the normal protocol of doing things is that you are the one that will decide the color of the bag. Is it my bag? At the end of the day, he settled for what our budget could handle. He was happy. He was, he chose it himself. He knew that this is what my money can buy. So he learned about, budgeting, prioritizing. So many skills I had taught by just doing that. Meanwhile, if I had gone the traditional way of just bringing a bag home, he has learned nothing. His desires are downplayed. You have made your child feel that your decision does not make it. Later, you now be saying, oh, you cannot take decision. You are not proactive. You have not given that child the opportunity to grow in that direction.
Yes.
So really, that early years is the time that you can grow those kind of skills, helping your child think outside, think vast, be exposed by even your own parenting style. And everything comes with knowledge. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really learned from the example you just gave, the illustration you gave. So if you have any question, you can drop it in the comment section or in the question box if you don't want to drop comment section. If there's any question, at times as parents, oftentimes we look at what others will say, say. But this journey it's personal. Focus on your journey. And if while these other parents were complaining, if you had listened to them and you've maybe ignored your child's your child's what your child wanted, they will still not come. It will be as if yes, you're doing the right thing, but
yes,
they've also learned how to do it better. So you might not know
as a parent.
You might not know what you
as a parent.
Okay, continue.
Okay, I was going to say that as a parent, one of the things that you must let go of is what will other people say. It's they are not, they're not parenting your child.
Mm-hmm.
You are the one you are the responsible adult in the life of your child, not them.
Them.
So first let go of opinion of others. I think that's the biggest thing that,
What people
what,
say.
even in disciplining, you are afraid that, oh,
What
they will say you're spoiling the
them.
child. But you are bad, you are damaging your child.
Yes.
And I think it's a lot of times parents are conscious not just about what people will say, but about their own
They have
self. It's just being
to.
selfish.
Mm-hmm.
How will I look?
Mm-hmm.
What's my ego? They'll say, the child of this person. So it's just about yourself, self-consciousness. So losing that self-consciousness is one good thing you can do for yourself if you want to parent
Well,
effectively. Yeah.
see, this parenting will humble you and teach you a lot and
You
help
humble you. You humble
you help you
you.
become a better person. Something
I'm
happened
telling you.
yesterday. We're trying to pick our children from school, and oftentimes after the school time, children will love to play outside. So we
Mm,
noticed I was standing with one of my friends' mom. We're standing outside. They were playing,
mm,
and I didn't see the incidents anyways. But I realized that she was telling me that a child eats the other child. And she was so
mm.
angry that I would have beaten, but when she saw the way I did my face, she kind of said, "No, like I'm not trying to say I will beat, but I will, like a white person. Like I'm not trying to say I'm going to beat, but I'm just going to react. Like why would you do that?"
Mm.
And the first thing I said is, "See, it doesn't work. I've tried it before. It doesn't.
Does
It
it?
doesn't work."
Does it?
And
At all.
a statement that, do you know what this child is doing was learned from somewhere. So if you think eating
Exactly.
the child is going to correct the child from eating another, you're just telling the child it's okay to eat. So the child will keep eating.
Yes. You are reinforcing what that person is
So
doing.
just
Exactly. I had a
well,
conversation. I had a conversation with somebody today, and she beat her
hmm,
child. And I was now saying it's not necessary. She said, no, it's necessary because you don't know what my child did. I said, what did your child do? She said her child hit the younger brother. And that what if he had injured? I said, so your child hit the younger brother and then you hit the child. You have reinforced what that child has. You yourself should be beaten because you beat somebody. So all of you should be beaten
well,
together. So you've just also reinforced that violence is the answer to solving our
see, it does.
problems. And yeah, exactly. I personally, I remember those days that I used to feel, you have to beat children, but like I said, you have to learn,
A
unlearn,
lot.
relearn. When I made up my mind that no, there must be a better way. One day my children came home, they went to play outdoors, then they came back and said, guess what, Mom, our friends were talking with our friends, and they said, and we told our friends that our mom does not hit us, that they don't hit us in our house. And that their friends asked, is your mommy Nigerian? He said, yes, my mom. My mom is Nigerian. I said,
It does.
it can't be. Then you must really be very good children
Mm,
for your mom not to be hitting
they
it.
make
So my children said they were laughing. That, we're far from being good children. So I said, you children, you know that you are naughty. But it's really not about what they've done. It's about my own decision to be able to manage my emotions and use effective, discipline in the house rather than hitting a child. And I've seen the difference. That look, the fact that you're not hitting a child doesn't mean the child is not disciplined.
that's not
You have just valued your child. So I asked that parent this morning. I said, ma, if that child in your house was Obama's child, of course, we all respect Obama. We liked him when he was president, and all that. I said, so if Obama, as much as you liked Obama, gave you a child and said, help me nurture this child, and this child, Obama's child, does that same thing, are you going to she hits her child with a belt. I said, are you going to hit your child with a belt? Are you going to hit that Obama? She said, no. I said, yes.
yeah,
It's because you
that's
don't know that that child in your house
mm,
is a potential king. You are the one that has the ability to crown your king. And if you are raising that child like a slave, you will become a slave. If you raise that child like a king, it will
it will.
eventually become a
It
king.
will.
So if you think that your child is a king, you will raise that child as a
Like a
king.
king.
If you think your child is a slave, you will raise that
God
child as a
bless
slave.
you.
Whatever you call your child is what that child will eventually become.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, what we call them is what
What
we
they be.
call out of
Mm-mm.
them. That's it.
Wow, great. What we call them.
What we call them is what we call out of
Yes.
them.
So it's that's why I will always, I'm writing a book on the power of a parent in, it's a series. So
Mm,
a a lot. I was reading a book that was talking about these reinforcements that when you think, even when a child has this inborn trait of being aggressive, what you will
mm.
parent, what your responses is what will determine if the child will continue to be aggressive or how
Exactly. Exactly.
as parents. It's not about being
Mhm.
aggressive. I was seeing a post like you have to be street. The streetness is it just beating? And at times some parents get attention when they are misbehaving. So they will keep misbehaving.
Exactly. They'll keep doing it. Yeah.
A lot is
Yeah.
on us parents, and I sincerely appreciate
A lot.
everyone
A lot.
is here. Please, you can share the replay. The replay is going to be on this platform. Share. It's going to be on our YouTube as well. Share as many as you to friends as you can. Together we raise a great nation. You know, at times we see
Yeah.
this environment that these children are not empathic. The grown-ups are not empathic. This one is not even thinking about me. You can't even think about
Mm.
someone else. This empathy has been, it's been destroyed already from many households
It is.
out there. Because
It
a beating
is.
is
Like I,
every
it has been destroyed. You're right. Like I was saying, I tell people, a child falls down. You say, good for you.
ah,
How can you do that? You have just told that child that empathy is
okay.
nothing. As if a child falls, you say, good for you. You know, and that
Wow.
child. So the reason why I am saying that, that child is already used to hearing good for you. One day he now fell. He now called his name and said, good for you.
You get angry. Why would you say that? You are not nice. You've taught them that.
You taught them, you taught them. So you are saying good for you. You are not building empathy. You are not building kindness. The way you are talking to other people, And the thing is that the voice you speak to children becomes their inner voice. The way you treat
Mm-hmm.
them, they will treat
Mm-hmm.
others, they will treat
That's it.
themselves.
That's it.
Yeah, so it doesn't just jump on them.
Wow. Thank you so much for your time. But I just want to ask just one question. I've not seen any question here. Please, if you still have a question, quickly drop in. So I just want to ask, okay, as I have toddlers, I still have toddlers, I still have a 2-year-old. So
Okay.
how do you think you can help? Maybe there are some games that you could suggest, or there are some activities you could do as parents to help stimulate some part of their brain. Just I know that part 0 to 5 is
Mhm.
key. So are there some games you can tell us about, or some activities you can do with your children that can help stimulate a lot in their brain?
Okay, so there are so many activities, so many that you can do by yourself.
Mm.
I always say something that all those thinking, oh, it's something I have to spend money on.
Well,
Can you Okay, can you hear
yeah.
me now? Yes. So I'm saying it's not. Don't think about, oh, it's something I have to spend money on. And it has nothing to do with
Mm-hmm.
money. You might say, oh, I don't even have books to read. Do you have a magazine in
Your
your house?
back,
A magazine that has pictures. You can tell a story from that magazine.
yeah.
Do you understand? You can say, oh, hello, his name is Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what Peter was doing? So it doesn't have to be a storybook that you have. Start with what you have. Be very creative and imaginative. Use your voice to modulate, to tell stories. I'm sure you heard some stories maybe from your grandma. Tell them those stories. You're stimulating their language
Mm.
development. Show them pictures from a book and use it to tell a story. Converse with them as early as you can. You see, what it does for them is that you won't imagine. So I'll give you a story of my daughter. My daughter then was about 2. And we used to read aloud every day. Every day unfailingly, we'll read a book. It could be a storybook, and we used to read every day because I was very conscious of that stage. And so one day, she asked me to make her some noodles. But I was busy doing every other thing. So I was multitasking. But her noodles was the least of my concerns at that time. So she will come, she says, the noodle ready? I'll say, almost. I kept saying almost. All of a sudden, 2-year-old, she stamps her feet on the ground and says, almost does not kill a bird. I said,
That's
what?
the book.
I said, what caught my attention is, how did she know when to use
That
that
word.
word? So you are underestimating the power that your children have in developing. I'm telling you, your children are powerful to the extent to which you expose them.
Yeah.
Expose them by books. So reading, storytelling, role play, dramatic play. Do tea. Let's have a tea. Put a blanket on the floor. Does it cost you anything? Do you have wrapper in your house?
We have.
Put it on the floor. Get small teacup. Play tea time. Oh, I'm taking a cup of tea. Can you sip yours? Oh, it's hot.
Yeah.
It's cold. You're having that drama time. That's stimulating language. Not you using baby talk. Talk like you're talking to an
Very.
adult. So that's you. A lot of adult play, nature. Let them look at the flowers, count the pebbles. All those things. It doesn't cost you anything. So when we're talking about play now, we're not talking about toys. Those battery operated toys. Try to use your environment to let them grow. Let them play in the rain. I'm telling you, it doesn't kill them. It exposes them. It's growing them. When they get in, wrap up well, get a cup of tea. But I'm just saying, use what you have around you to play. Use cartons, use it to create things, color. Coloring is very good for brain, stimulation as well. Color by number as they are growing. So let them color outdoors, indoors with different things, with toothbrush, as in use different mediums for the painting.
Okay.
Do you understand? You can use anything to do your paint. Let it be messy. The messier, the better for your child's brain. I'm telling you. And like I said, I was saying that the more you use a part of the brain, the more it is strengthened. If you are not using the creative side, it is weakening, it is weakening, it is weakening, it is weakening. If you are using the artistic side, it is strengthening, it is strengthening, it is strengthening. So expose them to music, let them sing, let them dance, let them go outdoors, run up and down. Children should be allowed to run, explore. If they fall, they will get up. It's all part of the development. So, play should not just be, if you have Legos, building blocks,
Puzzle.
let it be things that they can use, yes, puzzles, that they can manipulate, they can think, they can reconstruct, pull apart, build again. All those things are good for their brain development. Then early introduction of music. So if you introduce music early also, it will improve math skills. It helps maths, let your children have a good knowledge of maths early. Puzzles, chess, all those kind of games that help with reasoning. It's going to really help your child. I recommend music any day, anytime for children. It helps, yes. It will help. So just look around you. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to play. There's a lot for your child to discover. And when they begin to do those things, don't stop them to say, oh, don't spoil this thing. Look at what is my child trying to do? What can I use to replace that thing that it looks like it's spoiling? Do you understand? So there is an inquisitive stage. They're going to try to make inquiries, to make observation, and they're trying to innovate. But the moment you shout, you say, oh, don't spoil this, don't spoil, you are cutting creativity off. So just watch that child. What's that child doing? What can I use to replace it? What can I give my child? But please, during that time, don't include screen. Try to limit screen to the barest minimum so that your child can benefit from healthy brain development.
Thank
you. If you do not manage screen, it can be very detrimental to your child.
I even before I started this like parenting journey intentionally and with knowledge, being addicted to a thing like the screen made me cancel screen at first. So, and thank God when I came to add knowledge to my journey, I saw that even introducing screen at the early stage of a child's life service them. Okay, so I have a question. It says, what discipline can I put in place instead of eating and yelling at my kid, at your child or something?
So I would say that it's going to start with you. It's not first remove your focus from your child. Remove it. So your parenting is first about you. It's going to be about you. How disciplined are you? Because sometimes if I ask you what are you disciplining a child for, you hear some things like, oh, he was making noise. Do you want a dumb child?
Yeah.
So first of all, you first look at why am I disciplining this child? Is it really necessary? You go to church, for example, you're in church from morning, maybe you're in the choir, you're in church from morning to like from 6 a.m. You are there till like 2. Then your child is running up and down. You realize that this child is running up and you just start hitting the child. You can't sit in one place.
Ow.
You don't know that that child is a child. You can be hungry. If a child is hungry, it will be very restless. This child has not had a nap. Because he has not had a nap, it can be very restless, very troublesome. It can, very disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is no routine. So, the reason why I've started with yourself is that, have you put structure in your house around that child to help that child? Because the best way to help toddlers to thrive is to put them on a routine.
Mm-hmm.
That is the way to support their development. They must be on a routine, because routine helps your children to grow well emotionally, physically, that they can say, at this time, this is the next thing to do. There is a sequence of events that is predictable. When I wake up, I brush my teeth, I have my bath, I eat, then I do this, I go outdoors, I come in back, I do some time with my mom, then I take a nap, then I have my afternoon lunch, so there is that predictable sequence. You realize that when you have that routine that is predictable, half of those discipline issues is already solved.
Sure.
It's already solved. So you start from that to first eliminate the things that you don't need to hit your child over. Because half of what you're hitting your child over is a lack of structure issue. Do you understand? It's a lack of structure issue. So you are just traumatizing your child for your own lack of ineffectiveness as a parent. So let's start with you. Build structure around your house. What should we be doing at this time? When we come back from school, what do we do? When they eat, is this how we are going to be clearing our table? Put structure in, routine. Even if your child is 2 years old, put it in pictures. Eventually they know. I run a preschool, and in a 2-year-old class, do you know that when it's lunchtime, it's like they already have that clock in their brain. When it's lunchtime and the teacher is just doing something else, these children will go and bring out their lunch box. I'm telling you, 2-year-olds, they know their nap time. Once it's nap time, because the sequence is they take a bath in school, then they take a nap. Do you know that as they're coming out from the bathroom, they change them, immediately they put their bags back, because they engage them a lot. They engage them. By the time you leave us, we're just early years. By the time you leave us, you must be able to dress up by yourself, bathe by yourself at 5, so there is a lot of skill they're learning. Immediately they are putting their bag back in the locker, you just see them go to their nap corner. They know their mats. Everybody has a color-coded mat. They will pick out their mat and go and lay it. And you'll be wondering, how do you know that it's time for napping? Why? It's routine. They already know the sequence. Yes. So some of them, by the time they wake up, they usually know that by the time I wake up, my parents have come. Some of them can drag their bag. They become cranky because they feel that, why hasn't my mommy come?
Very well.
So that routine, you will realize that a child that is well fed will not be crying unnecessarily, is not cranky, it's because he has slept well, so a lot of things is our own ineffectiveness. So discipline really has different meaning to me than to a lot of other parents. Yeah. So they just feel that you just want a well-behaved child, a dundee, a child that will just say yes, no feelings, cannot express themselves. That's not what discipline is. It's not an obedient child that does not have a voice or is shy, is whatever my mommy wants, So I can't say that. Put structure in place first. If you realize that half of your problems are already solved.
Yeah. Then to add to that, just look at what you think you're complaining about, and sit down.
Yes.
At it. You see that most of it's from you.
Exactly. You can even put consequences. Like, okay, a child does not clean up after with its toys. I remember that when my children were young, my children are teenagers now. When they were young, and I didn't used to disturb their play. They will play everything. They will just mess up everywhere. But they know that they need to clean up. when their friends come, one day my friends came visiting with their children and they were spending the night and they were going in to sleep. My son was like 3, he was 3 at that time. He called my friend back. I said, Hara's mommy, you can't go to bed now. He said, why? We always clean up after we play. We have to clean up.
Wow.
It was the next day my friend was telling me that, oh my God, you have a disciplined boy that he didn't allow her to go to bed. He said we must clean up.
Clean up before going. That's
We must
good.
clean up before we.
I've
So if they understand that, yes. So usually when their friends come and they mess up, they know they're going to be the ones to clean up. So they'll say, no, you can't go. Let's clean up together before you go. The next time, you will not be allowed to come and play in my house.
One.
So there are consequences, for those actions. Now that I have teenagers, my children, maybe they're supposed to wash their clothes at a particular time. There's a washing machine. They will not wash it. Then you now see Monday morning, somebody is running up and down. I put a structure in place. If you don't wash your clothes by the specific time, you lose the privilege to use the washing machine. You hand wash. You hand wash. Nobody, I didn't fight anybody. I did not beat anybody. If their clothes.
Consequence?
Yes, so.
Do a lot.
Nobody, the first time, my daughter is very compliant, but my son will test you. He's a sanguine, so he can charm your, he will charm you, so that day he thought, you will come and say, sweet mommy, I said, there's a sweet mommy, go and bring your clothes out. I supervised the hand washing. I was sitting with him. Do you know after that, you will comply because he knows you can't use the luxury washing machine.
That's a great way.
Hand wash. So, yeah, they're no big deal. You hit a child for not washing his own clothes. Why are you beating him for not washing his own clothes?
Oftentimes, we don't want the child to disgrace us. Our ego is there. We don't want the child to disgrace us, so we beat. That's not discipline. Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. We spent 1 hour already.
You're welcome.
Enjoyed our session. Thank you so much. I will definitely be bringing you back anyways. Thank
you. It's a privilege. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much. So we have Parenting O'Clock every Thursday by 8 p.m. West African time and 2 p.m. Eastern time for now. So we have another session next week. Please do well to join us. And if you're looking for ways to create structures in your home, we have a free guide. Just link in bio. Please do well to get the guide and put structure in place in your home. Discipline is structure, is the routine you put in place, is the consequence. It's everything about you, child. It's whatever you model to a child or whatever you show to a child will work with, and a child will thrive when you put them through structures and put things in place in your home. So please, parents, keep giving the journey your best and take advantage of the 0 to 5 years and do all that you need to do. The rest, you will enjoy yourself. So let's do the work. Isn't doing the work? Let's do the work, and we'll definitely get results. So thank you all for joining me today. I appreciate everyone and appreciate our guests. God bless you and keep you all. And for the children, God wants them. He created them to thrive anyway. So, but how we parent them is what makes a difference. So let's give our best to this journey, and God keep them and keep upholding them all in our homes in Jesus' name. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you all.
Welcome.
Have a good night rest and lovely regards to your family, ma'am, and everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good night.